Hello everyone, how you doing? Today I'm going to be showing you something relatively quickly, but I think it's very important for you to know when you're working within the Power Platform. So, as I'm sure you know, we all love Canvas apps, we all love using them, we all love making them, but in general, in the real world, Dynamics 365 and model-driven apps tend to be used more, at least from what I've seen, commercially than Canvas apps. So I think it's really important that you learn how to do kind of day-to-day tasks using model-driven apps and Dynamics 365. So an issue a lot of organizations have, and I'm sure it's really going to frustrate you when you go to different teams and you see just the sheer amount of data that should be in a database that isn't and is usually on Excel. So in this video, what I'm going to show you is how you can take that data from Excel and put it into Dynamics or Power Apps using a feature that I like to use within model-driven apps. So yeah, you can put it, when I say you can put it into Power Apps, I mean you can put it into a native Power Platform database, which is the Dataverse. So let me show you how to do that. If I go into my model-driven app and I come into one of my views, so let's say hypothetically I want to add an account and I want it with very specific columns. So the way that you create your columns that you want to enter your data with and import, you do it using a view. So if I come into edit columns here in the top, and you can see these are kind of the columns that I want to use. But let's say, for example, I don't want account rating. I don't need to add that data. I don't need email and primary contact email. And let's just say I need these columns. So I can select apply. But what I can also do is I can select add column. And then from here, it will basically bring up all of the columns that are accessible using the database. Just a note here, make sure that the columns that you're adding are available through your views, because users don't tend to have access to all of these columns. You know, they only have access to the columns you make available to them. So make sure the data you're populating, if the user should be able to see it, it needs to be in your forms. But let's say, for example, we want to add facts, because why not? So we've added facts as well, and then we select apply. And then basically this is what we call our template. So from this point, what we need to do is we need to export this template so then we can then re-import it with the new data. So let me show you how to do that. We'll just select export to Excel. And then we've got our new template here. We'll open this up. Okay, awesome. Enable editing, and then what we'll do is we'll just delete all of these entries because we don't need them anymore, because we're just effectively using this for the template. We're not actually trying to export the entries from it. So let's say this is going to be commercial apples limited. The main phone will be that. We'll put the city as London. Primary contact. Okay, so I think before we start populating some of these fields, I should have mentioned that these little notes are complementary of the template that you download from the model-driven app. So they will tell you exactly what to put. So here it's the text and maximum 80 characters. Here it's the text, maximum 50 characters. Here is the text which is required, maximum 160 characters. But for lookups, you need the exact name that's mentioned in your database. So this is a primary contact lookup. So if I come onto my model-driven app, we don't have an area for accounts, but what I can do is I can add it. So I'm just in my model-driven app editor. And then what I'm going to do is add a Dataverse table. And this is just so we can see the accounts within the system. So I'll search for contacts. I'll add this in, show to navigation. And then we'll save and publish. And then we'll head back into our model-driven app and refresh. And now you can see we've got contacts available to us. So let's say all of these contacts need to be owned by Patrick Sands. So we need to come in here and take the exact name for Patrick Sands, which here is Patrick Sands sample. And we'll go back to the Excel and then we'll just paste that in. So if it's a lookup, just bear in mind that it already needs to be existing in the system as it's already explained to you. So we'll put the address as commercial apples limited @gmail.com, and I don't know what I'm putting for fax. I'm too young to understand how people used to send faxes to each other. I'm gonna put a number and hope it's right. So I think that's the way people used to fax each other, but yeah. Now I'm just gonna add a few more records just for test purposes. Okay, so now we've got 2 records in here. So now what we want to do is save this Excel spreadsheet, and now we need to re-import it back into the system. So we've saved it, we'll close, we'll come back into the system, we'll come into accounts, and then from here, we will, we don't want to press this, we want to press the 3 dots here, and then import from Excel. And then now what it's going to do is it's going to ask you to upload the file. So we'll upload the file we just saved, and then it'll ask you to select the owner for the imported records. Now, if this collection of accounts need to be owned by a specific person or team, you can set the ownership here in bulk, but we'll just set it to myself for now. So if I choose the file, and then I select the active accounts that I just saved, pretty sure it was that one. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's that one. And then if I select next, now I have the option to allow duplicates and also review the mapping. Now, the spreadsheet that I imported and edited on was quite simple in the sense of the data that was going in it. But sometimes you might give these templates to staff, and they might, misinterpret some of the data. They might add a choice field that doesn't actually exist, and then that's what the review mapping is for. So if I select review mapping, now I can see exactly which fields in my Excel spreadsheet will link to the fields within my database. So here I've got the field name from the Excel spreadsheet. So these are the source fields. And then here I've got the Dynamics 365 entity field. So you can see primary contact will go into a lookup, and everything else seems to be right apart from primary email. So if I come into here, and yeah, we want that to go into email. And then if I select finish import, what that should do is it should start the import. Now, this is really cool because I haven't figured out a way to actually do this without clicking, or after clicking off this screen, I should say. But if you select track progress and then leave this page, you can actually see the progress of your import. So you can see it's importing. And if I give this a refresh, you should see the 2 being processed and eventually as a success. Wait, we've got an error. Interesting. Let's see what that error is, and then we can debug it. But that's actually good for us. So one's gone in and one hasn't. So we can go in and see what has gone in. So Commercial Apples Limited has gone in. So if we go back into the view, we should see it. Yes, here it is. And it has gone in, and it's related to Patrick Sands, which is really good. And if I go into the failures, a record was not created because a duplicate already exists. Right, let's figure that out. So if I come into accounts, do I have something called test accounts? Because that would be really odd. Why is it throwing that error? This is good though. This is good because now we can actually debug some of the issues that you might be facing. Is it because of the other data that was added to it? If I come into the Excel spreadsheet and then go to downloads, open the file. Could it be the main phone? It could be the main phone. So let's change the main phone, because this could be the reason. That's fine. Test account limited. Cool. Let's save that and let's try importing that. So my assumption is it's because of the main phone. Let's see if the main phone is what's causing the issue. So I've changed that. Let's import it again. Let's not allow duplicates. Review the mapping. Put email. And finish import. Let's track the progress. Oh, come on. Has that worked? Ah, there we go. So it was the main phone that was flagging the error. So you have to make sure that some of the fields won't interject with each other. So as you saw there, I added the same main phone and it saw that as a duplicate. Therefore, it didn't add it into the system. So just be very careful of that. But I thought I'd add that kind of debugging in because I feel like a lot of people chop that out. But in general, I think it's good to always understand why that didn't go in. And then Commercial Apples Limited already exists, so that didn't go in, so that showed up as a failure. But if I go back and I go into my accounts, you should see test account 2 and commercial apples limited have both been in. So that kind of summarizes this video. It was a short one, but hopefully it gives you a bit of an insight into how to take Excel spreadsheets and then put them into your Dynamics 365 or model-driven apps when a database would be better to use, which tends to be most of the time. So yeah, if you found use out of this video, please leave a like, leave a subscribe. It'd be awesome to keep supporting this content. I'm going to try and be more consistent with these videos. And yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Take it easy.